Britain is absolutely packed with villages whose names sound like the punchline to a very old, very strange joke. But every single one is a genuine dot on the map. From valleys called Scratchy Bottom to hamlets named Titiho, these quirky titles have somehow survived centuries of polite society, council debates, and very, very confused tourists. But here's the real twist: most of these eyebrow-raising names come from completely innocent Viking, Saxon, or medieval roots. And once you hear why one village spent nearly £700 on a stone sign that weighs more than a small car, you'll understand British eccentricity on a whole new level. Let's start with a name that tourists genuinely think is a prank: Orne. Actually, there are two of them. Two tiny settlements, one in Orkney and another in Shetland, both carry a name that makes some visitors blush. The word actually comes from Old Norse for a small parcel of land, brought over by 9th century Vikings. The Orkney location sits close to Skara Brae, making the name older than several pyramids, while the Shetland one is so remote Google still has to bother to send a street view car. Locals have stopped being embarrassed. One farmer even said he's proud to be born and bred in Orne. An American tourist once filed an official complaint because she thought the road signs had been vandalized with profanity. Next up, Shitton, the village that outsmarted sign thieves. After decades of their road sign being stolen, residents in this Dorset village were completely fed up. After losing 3 signs in a single year, they pulled together £680 to commission a 1.5-ton Purbeck stone monolith with the village name carved right into it. Its name appears in the Domesday Book as Citera, from Old English words meaning stream farm. Ironically, the same stream still flows through today, but now it's called the River Piddle. The parish chairman joked that drunken students would need a crane to steal the new sign. And the best part, house prices went up the following year. Classic Britain. Then there's Pity Me, a name that absolutely no one can properly explain. No one truly agrees where this County Durham name came from. Victorian romantics claimed that monks used to cry "Pity me" when they were caught in storms, but modern linguists say it's far more likely from the French petit amia, meaning small lake. The German bomber in World War II allegedly targeted it purely because he found the name funny on his map. Today, the village hosts an annual Pity Me Day, featuring a contest for the year's most unfortunate resident. Number 4 is Scratchy Bottom, a valley with Hollywood credits. Despite its name, Scratchy Bottom isn't a town. It's a dramatic, beautiful valley on the Jurassic coast. Scratchy refers to the sharp course that once shredded the legs of farm workers, and bottom simply means valley floor. It famously appeared in the 1967 film Far From the Madding Crowd, and if you look closely, you can still find fragments of aircraft parts from a World War II training crash. The rocks here reveal 100 million years of Earth's history. How about Ugly, the village with the proudest women's institute? Ugly, in Essex, has endured centuries of jokes. It even inspired the Ugly Women's Institute, whose members wore badges proudly declaring, "I'm an ugly woman." The name actually comes from a Saxon landowner named Ugg. The medieval church holds a rare 14th century wooden knight, and in 2013, locals successfully defeated a plan to build 1,100 new homes using banners that read, "Keep Ugly Beautiful," and they won. Next is Wetwang, which is actually archaeological royalty. Despite sounding a bit rude, Wetwang is one of Britain's most important Iron Age sites. In 2001, archaeologists discovered a chariot burial here, but the skeleton inside was a woman, completely rewriting English Iron Age history. Its name comes from Old Norse Ford trial field, where legal disputes were once settled. Wetwang even had a comedian run for local office, promising to build a theme park. He got 9 votes. Moving on to Giggleswick, which is not nearly as cheerful as it sounds. The name has absolutely nothing to do with laughing. It comes from an Old English person named Giggle. Giggleswick School, founded way back in 1512, educated revolutionaries, scientists, and produced a legendary Victorian chapel dome that's visible for miles around. Local folklore claims a dragon called the Giggleswick Worm once lived near the village well. Then there's Pratt's Bottom, a valley with a surprising gangster past. Named after the medieval Pratt family, this Kent Valley became notorious in the 1960s when London gangsters moved here seeking countryside respectability. A pioneering female aviator, Pauline Gore, once called it home, and locals still fight of housing developments with impressive consistency. They've been successfully blocking developers since 1947. Number 9 is Crapstone, the village haunted by embarrassment and a ghost. Crapstone sits on the edge of Dartmoor, and its name simply means Boundary Rock, not, well, you know. A TV documentary once crowned it one of Britain's rudest place names. The local inn is said to be haunted by a Civil War soldier, and the Methodist chapel contains huge, beautiful biblical murals painted by a Victorian signwriter in exchange for food. How about a pair? Great Snoring and Little Snoring are two villages that are actually anything but sleepless. These neighbouring Norfolk villages take their name from a Saxon landowner named Snaring. St. Mary's Church in Great Snoring contains one of Britain's biggest collections of medieval graffiti, including ships, symbols, and faces believed to ward off witches. Glenn Miller, the famous bandleader, supposedly performed here for American airmen just weeks before he disappeared over the English Channel. Next, Nasty, the friendliest hamlet you will ever visit. Nasty in Hertfordshire likely means the eastern enclosure. During World War II, its farm was used as a covert signal interception site, and the medieval farmhouse holds what may be England's oldest protective witch mark carved into the wood to keep evil spirits out. In 1645, one resident was fined for owning a suspiciously intelligent cat. Yes, really. Stop laughing. It's Saxon. Number 12 is Fingering Hoe. The name comes from Finger is spur of land. It's home to an internationally important nature reserve where nightingales sing every single spring. During the devastating floods of 1953, residents heroically saved dozens of families by rowing out in small boats against official orders. Then we have Dull, which is anything but. Dull in Scotland is officially twinned with Boring, Oregon in the USA, and Bland in New South Wales, Australia. Together, they form the world's most iconic trinity of tedium. Its ancient standing stone aligns perfectly with the midwinter sunset, and may be over 3,000 years old. The local Honesty Box shop sells eggs, honey, and of course, a lot of doll-themed merchandise. For the hikers, there's Little Cockup, a hill walker's favorite. The name comes from Old Norse words for secluded valley. The nearby fells were used for training by World War II commandos, and a legendary 14th century wolf hunt supposedly ended right here. Today, fell runners include Little Cockup on the notoriously tough Bacco Skiddaw route. Number 15 is Ramsbottom, a place of industrial genius disguised as a joke. Often mocked for its name, Ramsbottom actually pioneered fireproof mill design back in the 1800s, saving countless lives. It also hosts the annual World Black Pudding Throwing Championships, a mock battle between the counties of Lancashire and Yorkshire using baked goods as weapons. Let's talk about Bell End, the village postal workers love. The name simply refers to a bell-shaped piece of land, though modern visitors tend to request photos more often than directions. Industrial archaeology shows that nail-making was happening here long before Victorian reforms, and the local church memorializes 5 brothers from one family who were all lost in World War I. Then there's Blubberhouses, which Charles Dickens called his dismal delight. The name probably means buildings near Bilberry Land. Dickens stayed here while writing his novel Nicholas Nickleby, describing the area as delightfully dismal. In 1987, a perfectly preserved bog body was discovered nearby, which stunned archaeologists. How about Crackpot? It's pure cave country. Crackpot comes from Old Norse meaning crew cave. Crackpot Hall is one of Yorkshire's most photographed ruins, sitting dramatically above a massive cave network that once swallowed 3 Victorian explorers forever. Next is Foulness, Britain's restricted island. The name means bird promontory, and the island is controlled by the Ministry of Defence. It saw Britain's biggest non-nuclear explosion in 1974 and inspired George Orwell's vision of Airstrip 1 in his novel 1984. Yet, it also produces some of the country's best wild samphire, a delicacy loved by chefs. Then there's Last, a village the postman really does lose. Last comes from the Gaelic word for dwelling, but mail constantly goes astray. The 1829 Muckle flood, a catastrophic event in Scottish history, swept away an entire family here. Today, the old schoolhouse has been transformed into an unlikely contemporary art gallery. What about Titiho? A name that Victorians tried to censor. Official Ordnance Survey maps once shortened it to just Tiho to avoid offending polite society. It likely means Titty's Hill, from a medieval nickname. Nearby excavations have uncovered an incredible 9,000 years of continuous human activity. Knob is next. A hill, not an insult. Named after a knobbly hill in Lancashire, the site contains rare plants that have adapted to thrive in heavy metal-polluted soils left over from mining. It was also the site of the infamous 1868 Knob End riots between miners and police. And Thong, a strip of land with a secret past. From the Old English for narrow strip, thong played a bizarre role in history. Its windmill once produced the flour for the naval biscuits that fed Admiral Nelson's fleet. A World War II radar station here also gave London crucial minutes of warning during the V-1 flying bomb attacks. We're almost at the end. Number 24 is Boggy Bottom, which is exactly what it sounds like. Monks tried to drain it centuries ago, before giving up and blaming God for their failure. Charles Darwin collected specimens here for his book on the origin of species, and the valley now supports 3 dragonfly species found nowhere else in southern England. Finally, Slack Bottom, a valley full of rogues. This remote Penning Valley sheltered a gang of coin forgers so successful they reportedly altered the national money supply in the 1760s. The poet Lord Byron supposedly attended an illegal bare-knuckle fight here. Today, it's beloved by hikers and historians. So, if anyone ever tells you that British place names are boring, just point them in the direction of craftsmanship. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this journey through Britain's weirdest corners, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell for more adventures. See you next time.